We received a 911 call of multiple people who had been shot.
Police responded to a triple shooting caught on camera outside the Dunwoody Glen apartment Sunday night.
It's a young woman's boyfriend now charged with killing her and her mother. Her brother was also hurt but survived, telling John Sherrick his sister was trying to get away from her boyfriend when he opened fire.
Look at the top of your screen right now. No, seriously, look. What you're seeing is the last 60 seconds of Crystal Williams' life. 22 years old, leaving an apartment complex with her mama and her little brother. And in less than a minute, 2 of them will be dead. Shot down by someone who claimed he loved her. Someone she thought she knew. This is what happens when love turns into obsession. When I can't live without you becomes, then you can't live at all. Girl, make it make sense. September 6, 2020, Dunwoody, Georgia, around 10:30 at night. Crystal Williams, her mother Danielle Sims, and her younger brother Malachi were leaving the Dunwoody Glen apartments. Just a regular Sunday night, just trying to go home. But waiting for them in that parking lot was Justin Dion Turner, Crystal's ex-boyfriend. And he had a gun. What happens next is caught on surveillance. The car blocking their path, Justin stepping out, the confrontation, the shots, and a mother throwing herself in front of her children, trying to shield them with her own body. 2 women dead at the scene, 1 young man fighting for his life, and 1 coward running away into the night. But before we get to how this all unfolded, let me take you back to where it started. Atlanta, Georgia. If you know anything about the South, you know Atlanta. The culture, the music, the food, the people. It's a city that moves. A place where dreams get chased and talent gets discovered. From the downtown lights to the neighborhoods that raise legends, Atlanta has this energy about it. Southern hospitality meets modern hustle. But like any city, not every story coming out of Atlanta is a success story. Some are tragedies, and this is one of them. Crystal Williams was born and raised right there in the heart of Atlanta. 22 years old, beautiful, full of life, and deeply loved by everyone who knew her. She came from a tight family, the kind where everybody shows up for everybody. Her mother, Danielle Sims, wasn't just a parent. She was Crystal's biggest supporter, her protector, her friend. Danielle posted about her daughter constantly. Every achievement, every milestone, every moment of pride. You could feel the love through the screen. Reporting Dr. Crystal Williams to the operating room, Crystal scored a 93 on her anatomy project on plastic surgery. Congratulations, daughter. We are so proud of you. That was the kind of mother Danielle was, celebrating her daughter out loud, making sure Crystal knew she mattered. And then there was Malachi Williams, Crystal's younger brother. Here's something special about them. They shared the same birthday. Every single year, those 2 celebrated together. Same day, same cake, same love. The bond between Crystal and Malachi was strong. They had each other's backs. They were close. There's this video of Crystal and her mother just being silly together, talking about their eyebrows, laughing about their foreheads. Normal. Mother-daughter stuff. Y'all are cute. Yours is cute. Mine look all sick. Look where my eyebrows. All of a sudden I got this big old forehead. Just regular life. Regular love. That's what made Crystal's family special. They didn't just love each other. They liked each other. They wanted to be around each other. That kind of family is a blessing. And it makes what happened even harder to process. Crystal had dreams. She was focused, driven, and doing well academically. She wanted a career, wanted independence, wanted to build something for herself. People who knew her said she was warm, determined, hopeful about her future. She had plans. But like a lot of young women, Crystal also had a romantic side. She believed in love. She wanted that partnership, that connection. She wanted someone to build a life with. Enter Justin Dion Turner, 23 years old. Crystal met him, started dating him, and for a short time, she thought she'd found what she was looking for. They moved in, together. lived together for about 2 months, and during that time, Crystal was all in. She was trying on wedding dresses, imagining walking down the aisle, picturing a future with this man. That's how serious she was taking it. But here's the thing about moving fast. You don't always see the red flags until you're already in too deep. 2 months. That's all it took for Crystal to realize something wasn't right. Whatever she thought Justin was, whatever she thought they had, it wasn't matching up with reality. The relationship that looked like love on the surface started showing cracks underneath. And Crystal, to her credit, didn't ignore it. She didn't make excuses. She didn't convince herself it would get better. She made a choice. She left. Now let me tell you something. Leaving is the hardest part. It's easy to say, just leave, when you're not the one in it. But when you're the one trying to untangle your life from someone else's, when you're the one who has to actually walk away, that takes courage. And Crystal had it. She packed her things, she moved out. And her family? They had her back the whole way. They supported her decision. They understood. They were there. Danielle wasn't the type of mother to judge or question. She saw her daughter needed help, and she showed up. Malachi stood by his sister. The whole family rallied around Crystal because they loved her and they wanted her safe. They wanted her to have the future she deserved, and they knew Justin wasn't part of that picture. But Justin? He wasn't accepting it. He wasn't letting go. And that's where this story takes a turn. Because when someone can't handle rejection, when someone thinks they own you just because they dated you, when someone decides that if they can't have you, then nobody can, that's when things get deadly. Crystal moved on. She was rebuilding. She was focused on herself, her family, her future. She was doing everything right. Everything you're supposed to do when a relationship isn't healthy. She left. She leaned on her family. She kept moving forward. But Justin had other plans. Sunday, September 6th, 2020, Crystal needed to pick up some things from the Dunwoody Glen apartments. Her mother, Danielle, came with her. So did Malachi. They pulled up, grabbed what they needed, and were ready to leave. Simple. In and out, no drama, just trying to go home. But as they're leaving the complex, pulling out onto Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, something happens. A car cuts them off, blocks their path completely. And the driver? It's Justin. He gets out, and he's got a gun in his hand. Now, I need you to understand the fear that must have hit that car in that moment. Crystal knew. She knew what he was capable of. She knew why she left. And now here he is, stepping out of his car with a weapon, and her mother and brother are right there with her. Danielle Sims didn't hesitate. The second she saw that gun, she moved. She got out of that car and put herself between Justin and her children. That's what mothers do. That's love. Not the kind you talk about, the kind you live. The kind where you don't think, you just act. Protect your babies, no matter what. But Justin didn't care. He was past reason, past sense, past humanity. He raised that gun and he started shooting. Close range, point blank. No warning, no hesitation. Danielle Sims, 46 years old, took the first bullets. She fell right there, trying to shield her daughter, trying to be that barrier. And then Justin turned the gun on Crystal, 22 years old, her whole life ahead of her. Gone, just like that. Malachi got hit too, 18 years old, watching his mother and sister get shot right in front of him. He's wounded, he's bleeding, he's in shock, but he's alive. There was also another teenager in the car who managed to stay down, stay low, and avoided getting hit. But the damage? It was done. Justin fired those shots, got back in his car, and drove away. Left them there. Left Danielle dying in that parking lot. Left Crystal dead. Left Malachi traumatized and bleeding, and just disappeared into the night. By the time police arrived at the Dunwoody Glen apartments, it was already too late. 2 women were gone, 1 young man was fighting for his life, and a community was about to wake up to a nightmare they never saw coming. 10:30 p.m. The 911 calls started coming in. Multiple callers reporting gunshots at the Dunwoody Glen apartments. By the time Dunwoody police arrived on scene, the devastation was already there waiting. 3 people shot, 2 dead, 1 clinging to life, and a killer already gone. Krista Williams was pronounced dead at the scene. 22 years old, shot multiple times. There was nothing paramedics could do. Danielle Sims was rushed to the hospital, but she didn't make it. She died from her injuries shortly after arrival. A mother who gave her life trying to save her children. 46 years old. Malachi Williams, 18, was rushed to Atlanta Medical Center in critical condition. Gunshot wounds, trauma, and the impossible weight of having watched his mother and sister get murdered right in front of him. But he survived. And that survival, that's what broke this case wide open. Because Malachi could talk. He was there. He saw everything. And he was ready to tell police exactly what happened and who did it. The investigation moved fast. Surveillance footage from the apartment complex caught the whole thing. The car blocking the SUV, Justin stepping out with the gun, the shooting, everything. And witnesses confirmed what Malachi already told them. This wasn't random. This was targeted. This was domestic. This was a man who couldn't accept that his ex-girlfriend moved on. But Justin was gone, fled the scene, and now police had to find him before he hurt anyone else or disappeared completely. A manhunt was launched immediately. Local businesses were put on alert, schools went into caution mode, neighborhoods locked their doors, because somewhere out there was an armed man who had just killed 2 people and had nothing left to lose. The community was terrified, and rightfully so. People who lived in those apartments were shaken. One resident said,
When I showed up from work, the police officers were still here. And when I asked them, what happened, he said it had been a homicide.
Another neighbor described the fear.
And it was scary that we had to lock our doors because he was still on the loose. And we didn't know the nationality of the person that did it because everything was just blocked off. So we could have been walking into a stranger and it could have been a shooter. So we were just unaware, but we was cautious at the same time.
That's the thing about violence like this. It doesn't just affect the family. It affects the community. People who had nothing to do with Justin or Crystal or any of it suddenly didn't feel safe in their own neighborhood, couldn't walk to their car without looking over their shoulder. That's the ripple effect of one man's rage. But while the community held its breath, police were working every angle. They traced Justin's car. They tracked his movements. They put out alerts. And it didn't take long. The next morning, September 7th, 2020, Justin Dion Turner was located in Atlanta. Police closed in, and he was arrested without incident. Just got in the police car. No fight, no drama. He'd done what he came to do, and now it was over. He was charged with 2 counts of murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. And here's something that made it even worse. This wasn't Justin's first run-in with the law. Records showed he'd been arrested back in April 2020 for aggravated assault against a police officer. He was released just a few days later. So let me get this straight. He assaults a cop, gets out, then murders 2 women just months later. Make it make sense. Malachi, still recovering from his injuries, gave a full statement to police. And what he told them was gut-wrenching. He described how they were just trying to leave, how Justin cut them off, how his mother jumped out to protect them. He said,
And out of nowhere, Justin cuts us off and comes out with a gun. And he pulls Crystal out at gunpoint. My mom gets outside. My mom is over her, using herself as a shield for my sister. And he was point blank. Like, he was right there. And he just shot. Boom, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden, I guess he just pointed it at me. He just wanted me dead. I don't know how he missed.
I don't know how he missed. That's what Malachi said. Justin pointed the gun at him, fired, And somehow, Malachi survived. He also told reporters what Crystal meant to him.
My sister was the funny one. She was just the life of everything. I'm angry and sad. I've never felt that type of combo before. And it's immense anger and sadness. I'll never forgive him ever in my life.
And honestly, he shouldn't have to. Forgiveness is personal, and some things don't deserve it. Period. Justin Dion Turner sat in the DeKalb County Jail waiting for his first court appearance. And when he finally stood in front of Magistrate Judge Joyce Neal, the whole thing was surreal. No emotion, no remorse, nothing. Just blank. The judge laid it out plain.
Your charges are going to be those types of charges that I cannot set bond on. So what will happen is your attorney will file a bond motion. It usually takes about 2 or 3 weeks to get before a judge. And then a superior court judge will make a decision about whether or not to grant bond.
Justin didn't say a word, didn't react, just stood there. And that coldness, that lack of anything, it made people even angrier. Community members who came to the courthouse couldn't believe what they were seeing. One person said,
Not only did he throw his life away, he took somebody's life just because, they had some kind of domestic dispute.
It is senseless. It is heartbreaking, and it just make our community even more stronger and tighter. That you'll never know when it's your last day, and it's just sad. I just sum it up. Just sad.
Now he has the rest of his life to think about that bad decision in a moment of passion, and he ruined his life. He took other lives, and it's just senseless.
A moment of passion. That's what they called it. But let's be real. This wasn't passion. This was control. This was rage. This was a man who decided if he couldn't have Crystal, then nobody could. And he didn't just take her life. He took her mother's life, traumatized her brother, destroyed an entire family. Over what? Pride? Ego? The audacity. As the case moved forward, the evidence was overwhelming. Surveillance footage, witness testimony, Malachi's statement, forensics, everything pointed to Justin. There was no question about what happened or who did it. The only question was what kind of justice would be served. Justin remained in custody without bond. His trial date was set, and the Williams family prepared themselves to relive the worst night of their lives all over again in a courtroom. The community didn't wait for a trial to show their love. A vigil was organized for Crystal Williams and Danielle Sims. Friends, family, neighbors, people who didn't even know them personally came out to light candles, share memories, and stand in solidarity. They talked about Crystal's bright smile, her warm spirit, her dreams. They talked about Danielle's fierce love for her children, how she would do anything for them, how she literally gave her life to protect them. That's not just love. That's sacrifice in its purest form. The funeral brought everyone together one more time. A local church filled with people who came to say goodbye, to honor 2 women whose lives were stolen too soon, to support Malachi as he buried his mother and sister on the same day. Can you imagine? 18 years old, burying half your family because someone couldn't handle rejection. Malachi stood strong through it all, but you could see the pain. You could feel it. This young man lost the 2 women who meant everything to him. And for what? The tragedy sparked conversations across Atlanta and beyond. Domestic violence, red flags, the danger of leaving abusive relationships. How we need better systems to protect people trying to escape. How we need to teach young people, especially young men, that rejection is part of life, that no one owes you their love, their time, their body, their life. Some folks in the comments had real talk, too, talking about how we need to teach our kids emotional resilience, that a breakup isn't the end of the world, that you move on, you heal, you grow, you don't kill. Others pointed out situational awareness, like when you're leaving a dangerous situation, maybe don't let someone block you in. Keep distance, stay aware. Now that's not victim blaming. That's just real talk about survival. Crystal and her family did everything they were supposed to do. They supported her leaving. They came to back her up. They tried to protect her. But sometimes, even doing everything right isn't enough when you're dealing with someone who's already made up their mind to cause harm. That's the scariest part. You can make all the right choices and still become a statistic. That's why we keep telling these stories. That's why channels like this exist. Because silence doesn't save lives. Awareness does. Education does. Community does. Crystal Williams should be here, planning her career, celebrating birthdays with Malachi, making her mama proud. But she's not. And neither is Danielle. Because one man couldn't handle the word no. So here's what I'll leave you with. If you're in a relationship that doesn't feel right, leave. If someone you love is trying to leave a dangerous situation, support them. If you see red flags, don't ignore them. And if you're the one who got left, you deal with it. You move on. You respect that person's choice. You don't destroy lives because your ego is bruised. Crystal and Danielle deserved better. Malachi deserved better. And every single person trapped in a dangerous relationship right now deserves better. Rest in peace to Crystal Williams and Danielle Sims. Two women taken far too soon. Two lives that mattered. Two souls that will never be forgotten. What do you think about this case? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story touched you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Unheard Cries TV for more stories that need to be told. Stay safe out there, for real.